the crux of mental health. On day one, there would be stressors that I didn't deal with. On day two, not a big issue. But day 197, it became debilitating anxiety and stress. That's the problem we're struggling with in our culture. We have the ability to produce miracles. Fear, for me, fear kills it, is how consciousness interacts with the body. I want my kids to inherit the world that we all know is possible. A vision of everyone having what they need to thrive. When we're disembodied, we don't know it. We assess motion to assess how am I actually feeling. We can provide tools to help people flourish. The heart has 3 times more neural pathways going to the brain than the brain has going down to the heart. So there's more traffic of intelligence going up. We are something very far beyond AI.
Welcome, Mike. Thank you for coming on the show. Super excited for our conversation. Why don't you give a quick intro of who you are and what you've been working on?
Right on. Thank you. Thanks for having me.
Of course, man. Yeah.
Honored to be here. So I'm Mike Dannheim. I've been building technology startups for about 15 years. And then I've also, in my personal life, been a meditation yoga practitioner. Meditation actually saved my life. I had a traumatic brain injury when I was 19. And at the time, they didn't know as much about neuroplasticity, so they thought I wouldn't recover from that. I was struggling with what's called short-term memory recall.
Okay.
And I tried solving that with drugs and alcohol, which was like throwing gas on top of a fire.
Yeah.
So it did not work very well.
Yeah.
But I wound up in an anonymous program, and I met a guy inside those rooms at the age of 22 who taught me how to meditate. And a very short window of meditation, like 4 to 6 months, my brain recovered, total miracles happened, and then my life took off, and I had a lot of success in the technology industry. And so what I'm working on is a spiritual technology, and really, a solution to mental health, a functional solution to mental health, an ability. In the current paradigm, we'd call it measure, but the mind is a continuum, so it's more like amplifying to understand my state of mind and to have the tools I need to be able to recover and integrate any blocks to the quality of mind I'd like as measurable resilience. And it stems largely from my experience in my last startup, which was one of the first. It was like the soil that ChatGPT grew out of. So our startup, it was a Y Combinator startup called Grouper Social Club. Cool. And it was out of New York City. And Tom Brown, who's the founder of Anthropic, was the co-founder of the company. Oh. And we were trying to create like a personalized concierge. And basically what Grouper was we put together drinks between 2 groups of friends 3 on 3. And we were trying to solve a matching problem. And one of the challenges that I had towards the end of that startup, it was a huge success, and then it didn't work out. And one of the challenges I had at the end of that startup was like debilitating anxiety and stress. And this is after I had like this big wellness journey, and I'm like, how did this come back? And upon reflecting what I saw, which then after doing a lot of work with some great folks in the medical and research industries, is really the crux of mental health. And the crux of mental health that what I went through was on day one, there would be stressors that I didn't deal with. And I would basically stuff those down and not pay attention to them. And on day 1, day 2, not a big issue. But day 197 of continuing to stuff those down, it became debilitating anxiety and stress.
Makes sense. Yeah.
And that's the problem we're struggling with in our culture is the time window. So the mental health issue arises, and when it arises, we don't properly attribute it to its origin because of the gap. And we have technology in our pocket where we can close that gap. And in day 1, clear the stressor, have the tools. It's not even clearing, it's integrating it as deeper wisdom. So that we can communicate, express, or be how we need to be. That creates connection, adhesion, and helps us strengthen resilience, biopsychological resilience. So it's the first ability to measure psychological resilience and the ability to measure mental state.
on day one, you said that's assuming that the let's say the trauma, whatever experience happened in your adult life, not during your birth or when you were a kid or something like that, right?
It's a great question.
Yeah.
And they're highly linked.
Yeah.
So there could be trauma that's occurring so there's a really nice model on this by a guy named Stanislav Grof. He's kind of like the Carl Jung of our day or Sigmund Freud of our day.
Yeah.
And basically a lot of his research and other research as well points to if there's trauma from our early years, the only way for the trauma to be healed is to be brought into awareness.
Yeah.
Awareness is healing. Awareness is love. And it's the learning, the synthesis of it and learning from it. And so what happens from that young trauma is it will bring events into our life that triggers the trauma.
Yeah.
And so whatever the trigger is, whatever the trigger is in our day-to-day life is a knock on the door to look. But we don't culturally. We swipe it, we shop it, we drink it, we smoke it, we do all kinds of things. But
numbing it. Yeah.
But that thing will not go away.
Yeah.
It will stay there until it's looked at and integrated. Because it's a part of our psyche that's basically saying like, hey, I'm here to help you.
And it's not like, not only will it not go away, it will become louder if you just continue ignoring it.
That's it.
Yeah.
It's worse and it's out louder and louder. And the most amazing thing is with the proper tools, and there are very proper, well-researched protocols, you can go into the stressor and it has a gift. So the thing you don't want to look at has richness to it. And this, when I say you, me too. I rejected it forever.
Yeah.
And what I've learned is through the people I've been working with is, wow, there's so much richness and so much intelligence in stress. So the paradigm of I don't have stress, I don't have time for it, or like I'm, stress free or whatever, there's the spiritual bypassing or like too strong for it is basically saying that I don't have time for intelligence because stress is intelligence knocking on our door.
Stress is the signal in a way, yeah.
And you go into it, it has intelligence. And it's a very important thing right now because I believe that what this is a knocking for us to wake up that we are something very far beyond AI. So AI is now able to do most of what we can all do, a lot of beyond what we can do, and it's going to probably go beyond that.
Yeah.
And we have latent abilities that lie within us. And I believe it's here, what we're talking about right now. At least I've seen it in my life. We have the ability to produce miracles, like we were talking about when I first came in.
Yep.
And that's a profound gift that we were given.
What have your been experiences of tapping into that intelligence and being able to produce something extraordinary in a way?
Yeah, it's a great question. Well, I had a startup that didn't work out, my first one, before Grouper, and had no idea what to do because I put all my money in it, and like I was out of money, didn't know I was going to do rent, didn't know any. I was just like so scared, and the investors who I thought were going to invest weren't going to invest because there was a change in the marketplace, and I went into first. Actually, I went to my desk and I wrote down what I wanted. And I wanted to be a successful managing director or CEO of a high growth technology startup. I want to work with amazing people and just like learn from the best and have an awesome time. And I wrote that down.
Yeah.
And then I went into our guest bedroom. I laid down on the floor and I just laid there and I just let go of everything. And I just let go and I let go and I let go and I let go. And my phone rang. And it's a guy from this. I pitched my startup to a large group of investors. And it was the one guy there who I didn't really want to talk to.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, I don't want to answer this guy.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden my body answered the phone. I was like, what am I doing? And then like I say hello.
Yeah.
And he asked me to have coffee and I wanted to say no. Yeah. And my body said yes. And I'm like, what is going on here?
Yep.
And then I go and have coffee with him and he invites me to go to Tokyo to help lead the international expansion of Groupon. And it was beyond what I wanted to do. I didn't want to do any of that. And that led to all kinds of miracles. I got to work in many countries all throughout Asia and have an awesome time. And I got everything I wanted. I literally got everything I wanted that I put on that paper.
This could also be interpreted as your higher self is able to communicate through your unconscious, your body or your subconscious, and maybe that is so there is this intelligent part of you that's taking care of you, and it's wanting, again, like depending on what you believe, but that could be one way of seeing it, as that's the intelligent that wants the best for you. You can say God just communicates through you or something like that. And when you allow it, when you fully surrender, that signal starts to come through. You were super like exhausted and have no energy to you basically were in a total surrender and full kind of like state of just like whatever just happens, just let it come through.
Allow it. Yeah.
How do you interpret it? What kind of intelligence was that for you?
I think what you just touched on, I think you've done it really well. You know, it was something beyond me that was working for me and through me. And I believe that's always there for us. We are loved, you know, there's an immense amount of love here. And, you know, part of that is getting out of the way, which sounds easy, but it's really hard sometimes. Because, you know, fear, I mean, for me, fear kills it, you know, and fear is a funny thing because I didn't think I had fear, you know. I knew I had frustration. I knew I had anger. I knew I had hatred. I knew I had like a lot of frustration.
Okay.
I was just, you know, trying to grow things really fast and move really fast in the business life.
Yeah.
And actually, it's so funny because I'm going to this woman's house after this. An amazing healer showed up in my life and she was trying to help me. And she was like, you have so much fear around you. When she said that, I was like, I do? And I didn't even realize it.
Right.
You know,
you would always tell yourself the story that you have no fear type thing.
Just didn't, I didn't even acknowledge. No, I just literally had no relationship with it. So I didn't know I had fear. I knew I had frustration. I knew I had anger. I knew I was sometimes in hatred. And those are all manifestations of fear. But I did not know that at the time.
How old were you when you realized that you have fear?
This was like 5 years ago, 6 years ago.
Oh, right. Oh.
It was the heart of this project I'm trying to bring into the world, coming through me.
Could you tell me what happened in 19? You said you had a brain injury.
Oh, this was the traumatic brain injury was 2000 and. Well, it was 2000
when you were 19. Yeah. So what happened then?
Oh, I got into a car accident. So we were in Philadelphia and hit black ice, and there was already an accident up ahead, and the car spun out, and I like slid down this bridge and actually hit a cop car that was already at the scene. The cop like dove out of the way, thank God. And when I hit, the side of my head hit, and I had an out of body experience. Where actually what happened was my friend who was in the passenger seat pulled me out of the car. And when he pulled me out of the car, I was out of the body. And I was watching the body walk around the scene of the accident. And I was not in the body. And what was really strange and beautiful was, first off, I could see there's an immense amount of light that our brain filters, like modern neuroscience has validated that. And I could see it. Because there's an immense amount of light and love. We are just in a cocoon of love. And I was sitting in this high state of love, just everything was perfect. And I was watching these cars come down and like slam into the other cars. There was like chaos, and my body was walking around the scene of the accident. And then the police officer came over, and when he would speak to me, I would toggle back into the body. And I couldn't hear what he was saying. So when he would speak, it was like, wah, 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 wah. And then when he would stop, I would go back out.
Oh, wow. Yeah.
And back in, back out. And then they put me into an ambulance. And when they closed the door, everything went black. I don't remember anything from that point on. But my friend said I was like bawling in the ambulance hysterically, but I don't remember any of it.
And how long were you unconscious for a while?
I had amnesia. So I had retrograde amnesia. So I didn't know who I was or where I was for about 24 hours. And what's really weird is I had a concussion in high school from lacrosse with amnesia. And so when I was in this second experience, there was the only thing I realized was that I was like, this feels familiar. Like I've been here before. Like I knew in the amnesia state of like, oh, I've been here before.
Yeah.
It's weird.
Wow. Yeah.
And then, excuse me. And then after about 24 hours, I got a sense of who I was back. But I was struggling really badly with short-term memory recall. So, and I didn't fully integrate into the body. So you would speak to me, and the version of me in the body would be like, and then the version of me out of the body would be like, what is wrong with me? Why can't I remember what Krill just said? Like,
Yeah.
and I had debilitating anxiety and depression, and I tried taking my life at age 19.
Yeah.
I didn't know what to do with it.
So your body was fine. You didn't really break any bones or anything. It was just the brain.
Just the head. Yeah. Yeah. The body was fine. The car was totaled, but it was just the head. Just
your brain. Yeah, exactly.
Just the brain would be a deal.
Yeah.
But it became eventually a big asset for me. I mean, it brought me on this walk.
Do you think your brain functions differently now that like a regular I don't know how to say it, like regular people, maybe you have like extra abilities now that you're able to you've changed it into your power now, like that's your advantage
For sure.
In what way is your brain now functions differently, would you say?
Oh, I wouldn't say differently. I'm just like everybody else, you know. I think we do have a lot of latent gifts, all of us here, but I don't think I'm different from anyone else. I think I might have been different from the way I was behaving up to the accident to how I was behaving after the accident. You know, it's funny. I to do this service, I have to go backwards. I had a deep spiritual experience when I was about 6 years old that I cut off from. It just scared me.
Okay.
And then what we're talking about, this car accident, I had another one where I hemorrhaged earlier in life and I almost died. And I had multiple near-death experiences. And each one of them was trying to bump me back to the spiritual path because I just kept walking. I was like, I want to be normal. I want to be normal.
Yeah. Do you remember what was at 6 years old? What kind of was it?
Yeah, it's deeply. It's my core. It was my core wound, and I had to make friends with it. It's what you're talking about, childhood trauma.
Yeah,
childhood trauma is all relative. Often we think of like the person who got shot or raped.
Right. Yeah. Exactly.
And we're like, I don't have any because I didn't have that. But we all have some form of it, and it has a gift in it, as I was mentioning earlier. So mine was, I was sitting in the bushes, like literally there's like big pine tree, and I was just like sitting in the bushes playing with a wood chip or something.
Yeah.
And my dad was throwing a football with my brother, and I'm sitting there, and all of a sudden I stepped into this reality where I could see what my friend could see. His name's Chris Scarpelli at the time. I'll never forget his name because of the experience. It was a reality where I could just see, and as it's happening, I'm like, how is this possible? And I have the thought, well, maybe I should ask my dad how this is possible. And I look over and see him throwing the football, and he's this like big corporate executive. And there's this voice inside me that's like, if you ask him about this, he's going to lock you up in the funny farm. You better put this away. And I just like, and shut off from it.
Right.
And, coming to find there's something called remote viewing, which the CIA, the NSA, lots of different, actually it's been well researched at Stanford too, SRI, Stanford Research Institute, is a very real thing. And it's a latent ability that we all have. I don't know if we all have it, but latent ability.
Capable of doing it. Yeah.
Requires some practice.
Right.
And somehow I just like slipped into it at a young age. I wasn't trying. It was just in nature.
So you saw a remote scene of some sort with another person in it.
Seeing what he was seeing.
And what was it? What was there?
It was a house. It was like where he was at the time. He was like in a house with his family, and I was like, wow, I can see what Chris is seeing. And it was like as he's seen it, I was seeing it.
It felt like just an American play, like another just neighborhood or whatever. Or
yeah. It wasn't like anything. It was just normal. It was just, but somehow I was under a tree and I was seeing what he was seeing.
And have you had a similar experience of remote viewing since then?
It's been my dance, walking back to that. And it's funny because just one of my friends actually helped me with this, very healing for me. So I do healing work for people. I sit with people, and I don't do the healing work. The only person that can heal is you.
Of course.
But what I am able to do, because I'm empathic, is I can typically feel the other person's hurt. I can feel where it is. And so my role is to hold space and to ask questions to help them get there. And their ability to see it and bring it into presence is their ability to love it and to transform it into intelligence. And that's a form of remote viewing. I'm viewing it. I can view, I can feel it. I don't know what it is. I can just feel it deeply, if that makes sense.
So it's not a visual experience, it's more of a felt experience?
Yeah, but what's weird is the childhood one was visual.
Right.
But the way I've been using it without knowing was that. And part of my walk is to walk back and allow myself to start to have those experiences again. But
you walk back because you feel like you meant to do this work for others?
I don't know if I'm meant to do it for others. It might be also for me, because in the experience itself, it's very it's a beautiful experience for me as well. So it's not like a sacrificial thing. And it's like I feel like an honor and a privilege because these are very sensitive and gentle spaces we're walking into. So the opportunity to be there with another person is a real honor. So for anything, it's just like the person who has been given a gift, or you're a great athlete, like having your gift is part of your fulfillment of life, right?
And how is that now related to the company you're working on?
Yeah. So Sensei, thank you for asking. So the more sensitive we are to our body, the more we can pick up on intelligence, consciousness. So something that's not well understood yet, but I think also really is how consciousness interacts with the body. And the more sensitive we are to our body, the more we're picking up on this like broadband channel of information that's all around us. What we've been conditioned into is using thought as the medium without knowing it, but that's what we're doing. Thought is the medium for us to understand our reality. But there is a much broader channel of information available through precognition, through the body.
Yeah. Interesting. So when you say consciousness interact with the body, is it just like this one big consciousness field that has intelligence, the way you see it interacts with the body, or there are like, in a way, conscious agents that have channels, like let's say your higher self as a conceptual thing identified that's tied to you? It's not just the whole consciousness field that's interacting with your body, but it's there are like sub agents in a way. I don't know if that's
I think I'm understanding. Let me see if I'm understanding the question. Is the question that there's a conscious field, but then there's also sub agents within the conscious field?
Do you separate those, or do you just say, maybe for the sake of this exercise, it doesn't matter. It's just intelligence, global intelligence, universal intelligence that's interacting with my body and sending me signals.
Right. I mean, I think it's all right. That it's not. I don't think we can separate it, because the field is around us and it's within us, and we're all part of it. And what constitutes our sense of awareness.
Is there value in identifying? Let's say, from my understanding, limited understanding, I say, there's like your spirit, your soul, your higher, like those concepts, like your higher self. There's global intelligence, any of those things, and all of those things differently or in some way affect you. And I don't know to what degree each one affects you, or is it all the same thing? I don't know if I understand how that works.
It's a profound question. I would not sit here and confess that I know how it works, but I just know I've had some direct experiences that point to the wholeness of it. And I think, I love science. Science is amazing. But a lot of times with science, what we do is we fragment it, which then leads us into this place of confusion of like, how is this all connected? And, they both have value, and they're all one. which has already been said by a lot of people before me.
Yeah.
It's not a novel thing coming out of me, but it's been my experience too.
Yeah. Interesting. I see the sign, or I think Alan Watts talks about it. The science basically splits the world into chunks, or in a way like puts the net, and the net has squares, so it's easier to he has an analogy of catching a fish. So you put a net over the fish so you can catch this wiggly world. You can have a little bit more control over and prediction, like you can predict the outcomes of it. And so it's easier to split it into little squares, little chunks, but that has limitation, because then you're not accounting for the oneness of all, right?
Sure.
Mm-hmm.
There can be a lot of fear in prediction too,
A fear of like change, fear of undesirable change, basically. Yeah.
That's a lot of times what we're trying to do.
Yeah. And I think the further we move into the future, the harder it is to predict it.
Yeah.
Because the rate of change, I think the higher the rate of change in general, the harder it is to keep up with all of the variables, and you can't predict what's going to happen tomorrow. You know what I mean?
And now we're birthing AGI. Good luck.
Right. Yeah. How, if any way, you guys use AI now in predicting? These are interpreting data, I guess. Data points.
We so my co-founder is Thomas Kirsten. He was the are you familiar with Xbox Connect?
Yes.
The first vision project.
That's
so
right.
Thomas was the gesture recognition lead at Xbox Connect. So he helped develop that. He actually did Azure before that, and then he was at Microsoft for like 25 years.
Cool.
Yeah, Thomas is a total big brain, amazing guy. Also, just a spiritual teacher of mine as well.
Is it also almost like an open source project hardware that you can use to do tracking and stuff, or no? That's different. Does Xbox Connect? Yeah.
Oh yeah. They use it. They use it Berkeley.
Mm-hmm,
They use it. They use it all over. But it was one of the first human tracking systems that could actually do like facial recognition.
Very cool.
And the consumer application was you could like interact with your TV and change channels with gesture.
I've got to talk to him. I have some ideas actually.
Yeah.
But I've been looking for someone with that similar skill to do like a smart mirror that tracks exactly where you are, where you're looking at, so it changes the perspective. And so the mirror becomes like LCD screen becomes a mirror into another reality, where it's like it's like a portal. And so it will show you exactly, like as you're shifting, you really feel like there's something right behind that mirror, not just you and your environment, but it's just showing you another world. But for that, you need to have very clear tracking of where you are, where your face and your eyes are, and where you're looking at, so that in real time, it could shift the perspective for you, what it's showing it to you. It could be just on the TV, like on a regular screen. Anyway, I would love to tell him a little bit more about, like, I've developed that a little bit.
Super cool.
Yeah.
He's he actually lives in Florida. He lives in Sarasota now. But so what we were going after with AI, statistics, is assessing the state of the nervous system.
Mm-hmm.
And it actually started with the desire to create a spiritual technology.
Mm-hmm.
Because the problem that we saw in that space that I struggled with is two things. One, religions are all saying the same thing basically, and then they're fighting over who's right.
Yeah.
And then spiritual communities, a spiritual person versus a quote unquote non-spiritual person.
Mm-hmm.
The non-spiritual person's like, what are you saying?
Yeah.
It sounds like a bunch of googly look.
Yeah.
So it appears that language is the problem. And because it was for me, my grandfather was the Bishop of Toronto, my great grandfather. And I was raised super religious, and I just had no idea what they were saying.
Yeah.
When I was in church,
Right.
Beautiful community, but I was just like, what are you saying? I bounced out of church and went deep into the Eastern spiritual traditions. I'm actually back in church now, and church is amazing. We go weekly. I still do all the yoga and meditation.
Mm-hmm.
But the point is I couldn't understand what they were saying.
Mm-hmm.
And so I really wanted to create a technology where we could get language out of the way to have a spiritual experience through technology. For, there's VR, there's AR, let's have IR, inner reality. Be able to tap in and know the truth. What's really going on inside me. Because it's really tricky when we navigate these spaces of trauma, stress. It's really easy for us to be like, I'm fine.
Yes. Right.
But I'm not. And it's actually part of the conditioning we're living in, where we do this thing where we say, hey, Krill, how are you? Go ahead and answer.
Yeah, I'm great. How are you? Yeah.
Oh,
yeah.
You do that for 20 years. How are you ever going to know how you're really doing?
That's right. Yeah.
You for 20 years been saying, I'm good. I'm good. I'm good.
Makes sense. Yeah, especially in the Western world. Yeah, for sure.
This is the heart of loneliness. Loneliness is very little to do about the outer connection. Sure, it's a small piece of it.
Yeah.
But if I can't see myself, I have a sense of being alone.
Yeah, and when you, right, and so that relationship of sensing being alone develops loneliness, maybe, that you're...
Oh, for sure.
Right.
I'm isolated. I am isolated from myself. I don't know how I really am. So there's a part I'm divided.
Could you talk about the actual like how does that work with the phone and the sensors and things? Yeah, explain.
Sure. So we created something called motion-based biomarkers. So there's movement. Let's break apart the physiology of it. So there's movement and there's motion. So actually I have my phone on me. Cool. So I'm holding my phone. And so first off, inside the phone there's a gyroscope, an accelerometer, and a magnetometer that are like high fidelity.
Pretty accurate.
Really, insane amount of data. When I'm holding the phone, I move. That's movement. I'm moving my hand. But now, when I move my hand forward, there's a bunch of micro movements in the recoil of my hand. That's motion. So movement, motion. We assess motion to assess what's called the somatic nervous system, which is how am I actually feeling? So our emotions, our felt experience are inside the somatic nervous system. There's a lot of other stuff there too in the somatic nervous system. It's amazing.
So this is related to like muscle testing that uses the same, right?
That's it. That's right. You're from Russia. You know this. Yeah. So that's actually where we started. Thomas is a muscle testing practitioner, and we wanted to measure the manual muscle test. For a lot of reasons. And that's what we did. And we've done 9 trials with some amazing researchers. And it's a source, the manual muscle test is the door for what we call autonomous healing. So tools for self-healing. So that we can identify our state of consciousness, what's really going on inside my how I'm feeling and how I'm thinking at once. And then be able to prescribe automated interventions that can help us clear that and have measurable psychological resilience, because that's the opposite of mental health issues. If we can measure psychological resilience, we can provide tools to help people flourish and not just solve the symptoms of mental health, but deal with the root issue.
So you're basically helping people to map out their psychospace by throwing at them some prompts and questions and help them do the jittery movement to measure it. And so you can kind of map it out.
So what we're going down here together is stress. So the reason why the gesture is, let's unpack the stress response of the physiology of stress. So there's 2 primary channels of stress. One is neurochemical, one is neurophysiological. So when we have a stress response, which is happening all day long, everyone has stress. It's part of our intelligence. There is muscle tension that fires, which helps us to take action. And it happens autonomically, so just happening automatically. So we're doing the gesture as you're thinking about something to help you assess if what you're thinking about is a source of stress. Does that make sense? And so we're measuring those micro movements to help you identify it. Now, why that matters, if we're carrying a lot of stress, we can get what's called disembodied. This is well researched.
Mm-hmm.
What's really weird about disembodiment is when we're disembodied, we don't know it. And what this typically will lead to is highly reactive. So if you ever find yourself like being reactive towards something, we're typically carrying stress for a prolonged period of time. And what happens is the mind disembodies. So it's an adaptive function. Like, why would I hang out in this uncomfortable feeling? Then just come out of this. And then we're not living in the body. And so...
And what does that result in? Some kind of like a release of uncontrollable response, or like some kind of action.
So this leads to a lot of the poor coping mechanisms where we're drinking, we're shopping, we're doing different things to create chemical response inside the body to alter the way we feel, because we feel terrible. We don't know how to deal with it. And so it shows up in our technology. So the reason why we have this active gesture is if you're disembodied, you'll most likely do the gesture too few, or it's 3 shakes. You have to shake the phone 3 times. And we have a gesture count algorithm where if you do the gesture too many times or too few, it'll tell you. And so in that moment, it's a beautiful piece of feedback, because you can go weeks or months disembodied and then you're going to get sick. But by having the momentary awareness, oh my God, I just shook my phone 5 times when I thought I was doing it 3. Let me pause, take a breath, and then I come back into the body. And then the stress goes away. But what happens without that is fear creates a lie. I don't have time. Fear is stress. And it's a lie. We create time. So you always have time for yourself. You're the most important thing here.
Could you also help me? So this is a fairly like crude way. You asking 3 times and somebody does it 5 times. That's an obvious deviation. From
that's not our biomarker.
Right.
That's just our gesture count algorithm. And so the biomarker, I'll go back to that in a second. But the reason why we had the gesture count was we saw a lot of folks coming through that were doing it too many times. And so we were like, oh, or too few times. And it would happen to us too. So we worked with this Caltech theoretical physicist. His name's Bill Sofke. This guy's amazing. And one of the things he helped us with was his body of work is about interoception, which is the neuromechanics of inner awareness. And what he's been studying is how the brain calibrates the body. And what he said is the brain requires 3-dimensional sources of information. So in nature, which is 3D, we have depth. And depth is how the brain is able to then also correlate the depth of its body.
Makes sense, yeah.
When we're on screens all day long, that's 2 dimensions. That 2-dimensional source of information leads to the brain slowly disembodying, because it can be stressful. And so we believe that's one of the things we see in the gesture, where people are doing the gesture too many times, is it's just we're on technology so much. It's like leading to our unawareness of the body. Our intelligence is in the body.
Does that mean that technology automatically stress it? Like, because you were talking first about the stress and disembodiment, but then now we're talking about technology that makes us 2D in a way than 3D, that creates this also disembodiment. But does that mean that technology equals stress?
It's a great question. Technology doesn't equal stress. It's like anything else. Like, you could go and have a nice cocktail with a friend, and that's a beautiful experience. And that could be just fine, completing itself. Or you could be the person who has the cocktail with the friends, they leave, and you're like drinking 50 drinks, and that one drink was terrible for you.
Or there were no friends whatsoever. You were just by yourself all alone.
So it's like anything else. It's us and our relationship to it. And what you talked about is a great example. That's the same thing with stress. We want to have a relationship with it. It's our intelligence. So any form of like, I don't have stress, or I'm too powerful to experience that, whatever, is dysfunctional.
Okay, so how do you see people use it? Is it on a daily basis? Are they constantly asking themselves this or that, and then they kind of like muscle testing? You want to muscle test the whole, like, different aspects of your life, different decisions. Is that kind of how it works? Yeah,
exactly. There's what you're pointing to is the depth of muscle testing, and you can do a lot with it. With the way we're seeing people use the technology, I'll share my favorite use case.
Yeah.
I use it before I work, and I use it at the end of the day before I go and be a dad. That one's my favorite use case. Because what it does is at the end of my work day, I'll just do it. It's a 3-second check-in. So I just pick up the phone, check in, and there's a statement, I'm ready to be a dad. So I'm ready to be a dad. And if I'm blocked, so the technology says either blocked or flowing when it assesses your nervous system.
Yeah.
Blocked is stress. Flowing is the nervous system, the energy's flowing. And if it says blocked, we have partnered up with some really amazing interventionalists. We have automated interventions in there where we're at about 2 to 3 minutes, I can clear that psychological stress. And then I'm fully present with my kids, and I'm not dragging the workday stress with me into being a dad. And I'll just share a before and after. So I was using the technology for like 2 weeks straight, and I was super present and just having an amazing time with my kids. And then I just like drifted. And for about a week, I didn't use it. And I'm sitting there at bath time, and I'm like doing deals in my head. I'm on my phone. My wife is annoyed. My kids are annoyed. I'm frustrated. And I'm frustrated because I'm not present. You know, I'm in something else rather than what's currently going on. And that was when I saw it. I was like, oh my God, I got to use this. I have to like continually use this. It just makes me such a better dad. And I love being a dad. I love my kids so much.
Man, I see. It would be kind of cool anytime you use the phone for it to capture all of that data. Because I'm sure even the way you hold your phone, it shakes a little bit. I don't know if there's usefulness in that type of data.
For sure. That's a great point. All of that. There's a lot of noise in that has to be parsed, but
for sure. So this tool helps you to increase your awareness around body and stressors and about body, but then body communicates about other deeper traumas and things that you can look into further.
So let's just unpack the body for 1 second on a couple things. So one, the heart has 3 times more neural pathways going to the brain than the brain has going down to the heart.
I've heard that,
So what that implies is that there's vastly, if you think about highways, if you put a highway in place, you have more traffic. So there's more traffic of intelligence going up than being sent down.
It's like 3 lanes up and 1 lane down. Is that kind of what it is?
And so the heart has tremendous intelligence in it. And if I'm disembodied, I'm disconnected from my source of intelligence. So just knowing that, and it's not the intention to fix anything. It's to have compassion and awareness of like, oh, I'm disembodied right now. And this might be a day where I'm going to be stuck in this because like I slept 1 hour last night. If that can be the case. If that's the case, then now that I'm aware of that, like how can I modify this day so I'm not doing like a complex negotiation or something? Because my intelligence is like parsed. I'm like half offline, you know?
So it brings your awareness about your rate, kind of like your level of embodiment.
Right. That's a big piece of it. It's just like understanding where my body is. But then also aligning with the highest intelligence, you know?
How does your app help you align with your higher intelligence? Is there a method?
So a stressor is a disconnect. So a stressor is complex because it's almost quantum in nature. A stressor can be a motivator. A stressor can be a block as a disconnect. It can be many different things. But if I'm not aware that I'm stressed, that in itself, or I'm trying to resist the stress, that's a disconnect. I'm disconnecting from an intelligence in my body.
Are you guys having easy or hard time explaining the concept to new people that have never heard it before, like become problem aware, or like just bring that into the awareness? This is a new tool and this is what it does.
So when we speak about the technology to a specific customer set, we tailor it to them. So we have an active pilot right now with Pernod Ricard for the hospitality industry. So there's been a lot of suicide and depression in the hospitality industry, and just a lot of burnout. And so the tool itself is a check-in. So what's the state of my nervous system? It's a second check-in. And so we've rolled that out with their ambassadors, and we want to do a full roll out for the full hospitality industry to help people thrive. Because an example there in hospitality is they go to work and they're in service, which is a high stress environment. And at the end of the day, they have no energy left for themselves in their personal life. It's totally smoked. You do that long enough, it's a terrible experience.
Right.
Well, if we're managing our energy and our state, then at the end of the workday, we can clear that work stress and have a vibrant personal life.
Clear it by bringing awareness. What else? Like what?
Bringing awareness, and then there's different interventions. So we partnered with a handful of people.
Yeah.
Satyan Raja is one. He's an amazing, he runs something called Warrior Sage and Accelerated Evolution. He's been doing leadership trainings for top CEOs around the world for the last 30 years. And he has these techniques that integrate the psychological stress as deeper intelligence so you can get the wisdom from them. There's deep wisdom in stress. There's deep, deep wisdom.
Do you see usefulness in implementing some kind of like personal AI assistant that knows about your patterns and can recommend a particular practice or something that instead of you just looking at the data and maybe the app is telling you through text or through prompts or something like that what you would like what it recommends you, but maybe like a more like engaging kind of voice that's like, okay, explaining to you the things for you. I don't know.
Yeah. I mean, so these interventions, there's one of let me go backwards and step to the problem space.
Yeah.
So the problem space we have is this 2025, and we don't know scientifically yet what interventions work well for populations at scale. And so we're going after that problem. And when I say interventions, I mean interventions to stay well, to maintain wellness, to scientifically maintain wellness and thrive.
Can you give me an example of intervention?
Yeah, we should do one. I'm trained in all the ones that we are putting in the app. So their interventions work across, let's go to the categories of stress interventions. So like Huberman Labs podcast style, like, right, there's two primary categories of stress interventions. One, you're stressed and you want to get out of it. Typically this deals with the respiratory system. So you're doing breathing interventions. So stress utilizes the respiratory system to activate the stress response. So that happens unconsciously. We can consciously take deep breaths and activate our parasympathetic nervous system to induce a relaxation response and extinguish the stress response. Those are great to get out of stress, to get out of anxiety, to clear it. They can leave you in a loop. So category 2 are the deeper healing interventions like meditation and meditative type techniques that can take you into repressed memories and then clear them out. They typically use something called memory reconsolidation, which is how memory works. So by going into a traumatic memory, the memory becomes malleable, and then you can alter the memory so that it becomes functional, so that you're not in that triggered loop, that pattern. And so for those two categories of interventions, we have Dr. Eva Selhub. She's a former medical director from Harvard's Mind Body Institute. It was the first place where meditation was researched. She helped lead those trials. She's an amazing practitioner. She has a beautiful breathing technique that's in the application. It's actually coming in about a month and a half. It'll be out. Then we have Dr. Ann Jensen from Oxford University. She did her PhD or DPhil at Oxford on muscle testing and emotional healing. And she helped us with some of our research trials. But she has a beautiful healing technique that uses posture to evoke emotion. So it applies memory consolidation by saying, okay, what's the source of stress? My boss. And then her technique says, okay, let's identify what the emotion is that's making boss stressful. You use Sensei, like a lie detector in a way, to find the stress. So the source of stress is anger, not anger. The source of stress is fear. Oh, there's stress associated with fear. Let's go into fear. And then her technique walks you through coming into the posture of fear, where you place your face into your hands, you come into a ball, you allow the whole body to go weak to evoke the emotion of fear. And then it's wild because you'll go into her intervention and the fear might come on really big and strong. And you keep going through it. She guides you through, continuing to release it.
Mm-hmm.
It subsides. You breathe. You go back and look for the fear again. You'll eventually get to a place where you can't find the fear anymore.
Mm-hmm.
It's gone.
Mm-hmm.
And when you get there, she then pivots you to joy. So every stressful emotion has a non-stressful emotion. So you're altering the memory of boss from fear to joy.
Mm-hmm.
So you sit up, you roll your shoulders back, you smile.
Mm-hmm.
You bring a big, wonderful, joyful feeling on. It guides you through evoking joy. And then at the end of it, you complete, and then you test again how stressful is boss now. So there's a pre and post assessment.
Yep.
Before it was a 9. Now that I went through that, it's a 1.
Mm-hmm.
We did a trial with her intervention with 247 participants. We had an 87% hit rate, taking people from 8s and 9s pre, very stressful, to 1, 2s, and 3s post in 5 minutes.
Wow. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Right now, it takes 7 years for the average person to find an effective remedy for anxiety. We want to take it from 7 years so that everybody has it within 5 minutes.
Mm-hmm.
That's the world I would like to live in. We all have what we need in our pocket to be able to take these inner dynamics and integrate them so that we're living our best lives.
So walk me through. So the app basically has different kind of like tutorial videos that people can watch and follow through after they did the muscle testing. Those are the different types of interventions.
Yeah.
That's what it does.
Yeah. Right. If you downloaded the app today, there's one intervention in there that guides you through a breathing exercise. The intervention from Dr. Selhub, Dr. Ann, and Satyan, we're doing a dev sprint right now to build in. So those are coming. They'll be out very soon, about a month and a half.
So your goal is to first measure the current state, identify the kind of like deviation from desirable, and then give you solutions to bring you back to your center in a way, to be present, to be less stressed, to be in joy.
And to really shift the paradigm on stress, really shift it so that we understand that stress has a deeper intelligence. It's part of, this is a school we're inside of, this whole thing. And stress is one of our teachers. It's a helper. But if I don't have a relationship with it, how can a helper help you?
Yeah.
Right?
Interesting. So the smart devices like smart, what are the smart watch or whatever, do they have also motion? I mean, they do for walking, but it's not as accurate.
They do that motion. We have a gesture for the watch too. We're raising a little bit of money, so we'll get it onto the watch. But majority of wellness and the wellness solutions is driven by something called HRV, heart rate variability. And so they'll have a gyroscope and accelerometer on the smart device, but typically the metrics people are looking at is HRV.
Right. I'm saying, could you tap into the data and collected throughout the day, basically? I don't know, but kind of, as you mentioned, maybe it'll be quite noisy, but it would be kind of cool to map out where they were in any specific moment of their time and how they were like moving their body and stuff.
Totally. We're doing, part of the sprint we're in right now is building in a notification system. And what we want to do with what you're talking about is having the contextual awareness of your day so that at the end of the day, before you shut down, there's a prompt that says, hey, let's check in. And then there's a very specific statement that's given to you that might be a source of stress from 8:30 a.m. that day. And then what we can do is generate wellness. We call it generative wellness, which is instead of carrying that stressor into tomorrow, you take the 3 minutes to go into it, ascertain its deeper wisdom, its teaching, and integrate it as measurable biopsychological resilience. And that way you generate wellness. I want to go backwards 1 second on that because it's a really important one. It took me a while to get it. Is the problem we have and why we have so much illness in our world. Day 1, I get stressed. I stuff the stressor down. Day 197, I get sick. I don't properly attribute the stressor, the origin of my illness to its proper source because of the time delay.
Right.
And what happens is day 1, I'm stressed. That stressor compromises my immune system. So then I get sick on day 197. So if we don't have a compromised immune system because we're functionally dealing with stress, we can stay healthy. We can generate wellness. We can generate wellness on a daily basis.
Yeah. It's interesting that over time, we're able to collect more and more information about ourselves, and it's throughout time also, so we can see long-term patterns. And yeah, I think it would be very insightful to know, oh, I got sick because 4 weeks ago I had this stressful, I don't know, like you can start connecting the dots a lot more.
For sure. You can always see it.
Kind of cool. Yeah.
Yeah, totally. I mean, that's what this project taught me. And like when I started learning all of this, I started looking back and I'm like, oh my God. Oh my, every time that I've been sick, it was some sort of stressor that happened. And I just,
how far in advance would it typically?
And that's the thing, is it's not like a set window.
Yeah.
So there's so many variables that go into, but what is said is that stress compromises your immune system. Fact. If we don't deal with it, the variables will be at play.
And the prompt that you were given, how much does it matter what prompt that you were given when you shake your hand to measure it?
Yeah, so on the app, we have a immediate check-in, which is I'm ready.
Yeah.
And you can contextualize that to anything. And just the value of just taking 3 seconds to check in with your body is enormous. Absolutely enormous. And the more precise we get with the prompts also comes with the skill of being able to muscle test. It's a very real skill. There's a letting go. There's a surrender to allowing. Allowance is a thing we need to learn, in terms of like, this is
totally. Yeah.
And we don't want to try and make it what we want it to be. We want to know the truth.
For sure. Yeah. And I've read from your white paper that it really matters how much liquid people have in their body, like,
sure,
right? So there are different variables that affect the accuracy of the measurement.
Yeah, so that shows up in the gesture too, is disembodiment. So fatigue, didn't get enough sleep, and dehydration have an enormous impact on the ability to muscle test. If we're dehydrated, so we're electric. The body's electric. Water is a conductor, and so if we don't have enough water, then the muscle gets sort of frayed.
Yeah.
And it loses. It deteriorates the signal.
Yeah. What kind of future are you contributing to? What is your best case scenario future that you envision?
Yeah, the vision that we're really focused on within the company. Yeah. There's like the company vision, and there's my vision.
Yeah.
And they're really one, but there's my kid. I want my kids to inherit the world that we all know is possible. That's at my heart. I want my kids to inherit the world that we all know is possible. In all of our hearts, I know that we have an idea that this world is amazing and it can be so absolutely extraordinary. And it is. It already is. And I would like my kids to inherit that world. And my vision towards that world is functional mental health, is a vision of everyone having what they need to thrive right at their fingertips, and to be able to tap into an intelligence that is extraordinary. It's beyond an IQ score. The IQ score is for the machines now. It's time for us to really expand to the awareness of this intelligence that is here for us.
Beautiful, man. Yeah.
I want people to have ease with that.
Love that. Yeah. Before we close, any last thoughts, ideas, summaries that you'd like to share in this format?
Yeah. Thanks for asking. There is a very sweet poem here on Earth that's been written, and I want to share it because it's what's also driving me. There's a body, and it's funny because it's in research. That's how I like science. There's a body of research called interoception. So you've heard of the metabolic health crisis.
Yep. Of course.
The interoceptive health crisis is the next wave, but it's the core one. If you solve the interoceptive health crisis, the metabolic health crisis is solved. And what's amazing about the research on interoception, so first off, interoception, again, is the neuromechanics of inner awareness, of how we sense our inner state. And the research on interoception is mind-blowing. Basically, what it shows is everything about being human joy, contentment, relationships, financial success, all of the things about being human go up. They get better the better we are at interoception. So that our ability to interocept and go into the body's intelligence increases our quality of life.
Makes sense.
Across socioeconomics.
Yeah.
So the more we can help each other with interoception, the more we can manifest this world that we all know is possible. And that is like just the sweetest poem.
That's beautiful, man. Yeah, I totally get that. Basically, the more we are grounded in our heart and our truth, the more intelligence can flow into this world through us. Right.
Amen. Oh, that's it right there. That's it. And we are becoming aware of how much our awareness is being pulled out of us into screens, into all kinds of things. And so as we become aware of that, that's fantastic because that gives us the moment to change.
Yeah.
To say, wait a second, there's something else here. So how can I come back in? And I've had many times in my life where I didn't want to be with other humans. And I've noticed the more I was disconnected from my body, the more I just didn't want anything to do with humanity.
Yeah, of course.
And the more I came into my body and the more I loved myself, the more I was like, dude, I want to be a part of this. How do I get involved?
Yeah. Any, or how can people find you? Any resources you want people to check out?
Yeah. So joinsensei.com is our website.
Yeah.
My email is mike@joinsensei.com. I respond. Resources to check out. Our app is complimentary. It's open, so you can download it on the iPhone. It's not on Android yet, but it's there for you to tap into your body's intelligence and come home. So we'd love for you to use that. By the time this is up, I should have it the links up, but we're going to be doing monthly community sessions. So there'll be a link on the website where you'll be able to join, come hang out. We'll do some meditations together and use the technology and go deeper in there. So please come join us. Yeah. And then we do retreats too. So you can find me on MikeDannheim.com. My wife and I do a retreat once or twice a year. Yoga, breathwork, meditation, and surfing.
Where is the next one?
We don't have it planned yet, but most likely Costa Rica. We just went to Bali. We did one in Bali recently. But the next one will probably be Costa Rica.
Beautiful, man. All right. Thank you. And thank you, listeners, for sticking out until the end. And I'll see you on the next one.
Thank you, Kirill. Thank you, everyone, for being here.